Good evening, and welcome to this edition of A Walk Down Memory Lane. I'm your host, Earl Basden. Joining me this evening is Jeff Richardson, the head coach of the Somerset Cricket Club team, cricket team. Good evening, Jeff. Thank you very much. We saw each other, and you said you had a message for me, and here we are to discuss some of the things that you have openly discussed, and I think elaborating it even more in person, I think, will be something of a benefit to your message getting out there even more than before. But let's talk a little bit about why we're here tonight, Jeff. Why are we here tonight?
Well, we're here tonight because as we all know, our national squad has been recently been selected, and there's been an inclusion of two foreign nationals into our national team. It brought to light some things that happened over the previous season last year when these guys were representing Somerset Cricket Club. There were some xenophobic remarks made at certain locations that really bothered me, and it's been bothering me for quite some time. It didn't happen everywhere, and it wasn't everyone, but there were the odd individuals who would make certain comments and so forth. So, and when I had the opportunity to bring it to the forefront, I decided that now's the right time.
And I mean, we talk about, and we're going to go back and when you were playing and stuff, and the people that contributed to not only you but the game itself, and a lot of those players were non-Bermudian, but the fact that these two have been included in the national squad says a lot about not only their character but the persons they are. To go through a lot of the stuff that they went through in the season. Again, you said not by everyone, but by some. To go through some of that, but still come out and play week in and week out.
Correct.
It's a testament to their mental strength.
Absolutely. And I mean, these two gentlemen are very nice guys. They're once they got to meet them and spend some time with them, after training session, they'll hang around and chat with the guys and so forth and so on. They are seriously they want to be part of our culture and learn about our culture and stuff. They mingle with the guys and everything. So Somerset Cricket Club had a members appreciation party last night, and Matt showed up, and JD gave his apologies, but the fact that he showed up and he was mingling, and he really enjoys being around the guys, and so I just think that they've been treated unfairly over the last season.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about how they actually got at Somerset, because it's a very interesting and unique story, isn't it?
It is. Somerset has been struggling over the last 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer, with numbers. For obvious reasons, we could put some of the blame on COVID. We could put some of the blame on the fact that guys are just not as interested in cricket as they used to be. There's also an issue with our youth program feeding into our senior team. And there's also the fact that we had guys that were away in university, so they wasn't quite here at the beginning of the season, and they were gone before the season ended. So we were struggling to get players. I mean, there were some games we played with 9 men, some games we played with 10 men. And then one of the guys who plays with us, Terrence Quade, he's well into his 40s, and but he's still a very important member of the team. Decided, well, look, let me ask some of these evening league guys if they want to come out and have a knock.
Right.
Said, Jeff, they're not going to be able to train, but we need numbers, and here we are.
Good old Quade, boy.
I'm telling you.
I watching Somerset play a few times and seeing him out there giving everything he's got, knowing he plays evening league as well. I had to commend him because you look at someone like that. He just wants to make sure that the program survives over the period of time that is required. Exactly. As you've already indicated, you had guys away in school. You had but hopefully, hoping that they would get back as soon as they possibly can. But here's a guy that's willing to help out and then recruit some help to come.
And recruit some help. And And these guys are very good players, and the fact that they're representing Bermuda at the national level is a testament to that.
One of the things, because I watched the national team train when they first started training at the National Sports Center on Sunday mornings, and I would always note those two were always the first two people there. They were getting there sometimes before the coaches. And before the coaches were setting up, they were warming up. So the way they approached things was a little different than basically how we Bermudians laid back. I'll get there right on. If training's at 9, I'll get there right on 9, and then I'll take 15 minutes to change up because I'm going to socialize first, and then or that type of behavior. They weren't like that. They were.
And it shows. It points to their cricket development as well, like where they learned their cricket. Obviously they play some very organized cricket, and they played at some pretty high levels from what I can gather. So they're very knowledgeable in the sport. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff, let's talk about, because we have a problem here in Bermuda when it comes to a certain foreign group of people that play in our sports. Not all the foreign people that play in our sports, and it can really be a bothering factor when people single out a group. And I think that's what you're referring to.
That's exactly what I'm referring to. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It becomes a problem because any member of society that comes into our workforce, our community, should be welcomed like anyone else, whether or not you like them or not. They should be welcomed.
I agree. I mean, they contribute to our society, they contribute to the economy. They drive cars, they buy gas, they buy groceries. They go out to dine. I mean, why can't they also be involved in extracurricular activity and play cricket and play football and play whatever sport they choose to without being attacked or without being singled out?
Yeah. And I think it's going to come down to clubs helping to protect not just their players, but the away team players as well, because we have to address these things head on, because we tend to, that's just so and so, he gets like that. But if he's getting away with it, guess what? Somebody around the corner is going to decide, you know what? He's getting away with it, I'm going to do the same thing.
Exactly. And I played a lot of sports with a lot of expatriates in both football and cricket. I wouldn't say I played with a lot of expats in football, but I played against a lot of them. Against a lot of them. And even though you're playing against them, you forge friendships and you forge, some sort of relationship as well. These are some really nice guys who are enjoying the same sport that you enjoy, And when it came to cricket, I may not have, most of the guys I played with at Western Stars were West Indian heritage. Right. And, that's when the police team was in the league. They were a tough team. They always had a good team. And what you found was that these guys would come to Bermuda, and from what I gather, part of their requirements for them to be eligible for selection to Bermuda is that they play cricket.
Yeah, that was a recruitment.
Yeah, and there's a certain force within the police force that made sure that these guys were able to get off on the weekends to play. And what we found is that after being in Bermuda a year or two, some of them married locals, and then they decided, okay, no, I'm going to leave police, and then they go play for Western Stars, they play for St. George's, they play for Bayless Bay, they play for all these teams, and they made us better players. Because I just don't understand how we have gotten to a space where we think that we know it all, and that we can do it all on our own without any sort of international outside influence who's experienced a whole lot more than we have. I just don't know how we've gotten there.
Yeah, I mean, I know that back in '79, where we said that was our quote unquote our best team. You had Winston Reed, you had Lionel Thomas, Colin Blades, Seth Braun. These type of guys who contributed to our not only our cricket but our society. They brought a different way of understanding the game, different way of playing the game, and they got into our national squad. But you didn't hear too much about why is he there, or why is go back home. You didn't hear all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we've just gotten so territorial. This belongs to us.
Mm.
You know, we didn't invent the sport. The sport was invented somewhere else.
Right.
But it's a sport we all enjoyed. It's a sport we were introduced to as kids, and I just don't get it. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you: have you spoken to both players since they were selected to congratulate them? And what are their thoughts and what are their ambitions for this tour?
I have. I spoke to Matt. I mean, I bumped into JD and Tom one day, and I barely recognized him because he had slimmed down, he had trimmed down,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously that was because of the fitness program that he was required to take, to undertake.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really excited. He was absolutely over the moon about being selected. And speaking to Matt last night, he was bubbling. I mean, we were there with Kamal Lavrock was there last night. Malachi was there, and the way these guys were mingling and talking, he just can't wait to be go and represent the country.
Yeah.
He's excited. I mean, and I'm excited for them.
Yeah. Now, actually, let's get into your xenophobic remarks, because I think it's very strong, and I think you're on point with it, because we need to make sure we stamp this out. And I think your message and getting it out there to club officials to try to work on this season coming up, stamp this out so we can have more inclusion. I mean, we all talk about, we know there's a huge Indian population in Bermuda.
Mm-hmm.
We know that. We see them playing at TN Tatum, and we see them playing all over the place. But we don't invite them in because some people are afraid to invite them in because it might take my place or it might change the whole development of the game. We need to be more inclusive.
Yeah, I mean, but look at it, or look at it. I'm not too sure if that is the issue, because if you look at some teams, they're calling guys out of retirement.
Yes.
To make up numbers.
Yes.
Some teams are playing short every week, and like I said, Somerset was playing short a number of games last season. For whatever reason, these guys in our game, in our sport, can only make us better. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you see these guys playing TN Tatum and at War Academy, and these, so they come from Sri Lanka, they come from India. Yeah. There are some South Africans here, there's some English here. I mean, I'm hoping that these two gentlemen is going to start some sort of revolution where guys are going to say, well, they're going to bite the bullets and make themselves available to play in our domestic leagues. Because I think it's a sad waste of talent for these guys to be playing 16 over evening league games. I mean, they could make such a huge contribution to our cricket.
Right.
Our domestic cricket right now is in the shambles.
Right.
And it can only help.
Yeah. I mean, some would even say, well, because you've already explained that there's to, time-wise and training and so forth. But if they're willing to put in the time and the effort, to make the team, then adjustments could be made for the local developments. Because trust me, I've been around to some training sessions, and midway through the season, some teams struggle to get 6 or 7 guys out.
Exactly. And that's just it. And like I say, my hope is that Matt and JD will undertake a full-time commitment to Summers Cricket Club this year, be part of our preseason training, and hopefully bring 1 or 2 more other guys with them.
Sure.
And hopefully other clubs will do the same thing. Hopefully we need to be a bit more inviting.
Right.
We need to be, and like I said, it will probably include our viewership, meaning that if we've had these gentlemen playing in our leagues, they're going to bring their families, they're going to bring their friends, and everybody wins from that. Everybody will win.
Sure. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with Jeff Richardson, the Summers Cricket Club head coach. We'll be right back.
John Barrett & Son is bringing us something fresh and exciting for the new year. Vi Antioxidant Infusion Beverage. Vi delivers the natural antioxidant benefits of the coffee fruit in glorious combination with a variety of exotic fruit flavors, with only 1 gram of sugar and 10 calories per bottle. The folks at Vi are inviting us on a world tour through these amazing flavors. Brasilia blueberry, Zambia Bing cherry, Costa Rica clementine, Malawi mango, Panama peach, Ipanema pomegranate, Kupang strawberry kiwi, and more. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, Jeff, I something just popped in my head because I can remember. I can't remember the year, but it was the year that Salim Mukadin broke the Colt record.
Yes.
There were some murmurs around the grounds. It was at Wellington Oval. Some murmurs around the ground. Don't let a foreigner take the record. And even, at one point, I even heard a Somerset fan say that. I'm like, records are meant to be broken. And if one's allowed to play the game, why would you be upset that a record's been broken?
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Who had the Colt record before Charlie Marshall?
Oh my gracious, who had it?
Wasn't it Bergen Spencer?
I believe so. Yeah, it could be. Yes.
Was Bergen Spencer Bermudian?
No.
This is my point exactly.
Right.
That is exactly my point.
It's from where that person was from, and all types of other things that go on with it. That's why we have that, I guess, mental approach, which is mental.
Yeah.
But again, we're our own worst enemies when it comes to support and inclusion.
Mm-hmm. It is, and I think it's a contradiction. We live on an island in the middle of the Atlantic. We need foreign investment. We need foreign workers here. We need foreigners in our sport.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not like we have this huge pool of players for either sport.
Right.
You pick a sport. Almost every sport on this island right now, nobody's pushing people out the door. Nobody's closing the door and saying, "Look, we have enough."
Everyone's doing access. Can you come in?
Exactly. The doors are wide open, and some sports are even doing things like after-school programs, picking up kids in buses and feeding them and making sure they're doing their homework. And so these kids who used to play football and cricket are now playing those other sports for obvious reasons.
Yes,
because it's a bit more inviting,
and
accepting than our two national sports.
So let's talk a little bit about how we address this as officials, as players, because there's going to come a time where one of a player's going to come and play, and then he's not going to want to play, and it's going to hurt his teammates, and then the teammates are going to get upset, and then we're going to have an issue where the teammates are going to want to defend their teammate, and it becomes an off the field issue, and it could be during the game, it could be after the game. How do we address this?
That's a good question. I have my thoughts, but I think the responsibility is on both sides. I think we as Bermudians need to be a bit more inviting and accepting, but I also think the expat community should be a bit more. They need to come out. They need to get out of their comfort zone. Their comfort zone is around each other.
Right.
Get out of your comfort zone. Come play in our domestic leagues, and hopefully that will start sort of a revolution that it'll become the norm again. because before it used to be the norm.
Right.
So I think the responsibility falls on both sides.
Right. Yeah.
And our governing bodies need to take some sort of role in that as well, some sort of responsibility as well.
Yeah, because if you look at it, when you were playing, you had sprinkles of foreign players in just about every team.
Yes.
At least one.
At least
but
one.
sometimes 3 and 4.
And sometimes, yes, of course. And like I said, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't know how we got there.
Right.
I don't know how. I mean, it baffles me because I mean, some of the comments I heard throughout the island last season, I would just shake my head, because and you don't say anything at the time because most times people are they've had a good day, they've been there for quite some time, and we know how they get, how rowdy they get. But what I've done is I've gone up to individuals who I know personally who've made this comment, and I've given them the same sort of, not speech, but I've just shown I had to remind them, like, you guys are my age, or maybe a little younger. You all must remember the times when our leagues were littered with expats. So how did you get into this space?
Right.
And to a person, not one person could explain to me why they felt the way they felt.
Yeah. We talk about inclusion and all, and even at the national level, we know in cricket, cricket's rules are a lot different than many other sports rules as far as inclusion. As long as you're on the island for X amount of period of time, you're eligible to play for the national team, which allows Matt and JD to get into the Bermuda team.
Right.
So they've earned the right to be there. And I think a lot of people will be asking or congratulating them for making it, but you're going to have a few people who would clearly say, why do we have these guys on our team? This person should have taken that place and this person should have taken that place because of I guess who they are and where they're from.
Right.
And that's where we need to get out of that. We need to get out of that space.
For sure. I mean, if you recall the emergence of UAE, United Arab Emirates, in the cricket scene, when we were in Nairobi in '94 to the ICC Trophy, ICC tournament, it was a known fact that UAE had about 5 or 6 guys who were just issued passports from UAE so they could represent the country. How they did it, nobody really knows. Rumor has it that all the passports were stamped the same day. But I mean, we need to find a way. I mean, I don't know if that may be one of the reasons why they decided not to play in our domestic leagues, because there's no end game for them. But we have these guys like Matt and JD who played at a very good level back in their home country, who can provide, who can give us, they have something to give, they have something to offer, and I think we should be as accepting, and we should be like sponges and feed off these guys.
Right. I mean, you would have had the pleasure of being around some of the guys back in the day and just sitting in the change room either before or after a game, and the stories they will tell. You absorb all of that. They're giving you advice and so forth. Just sitting around those type of players, it benefits you because they have a similar background to you, but in a different, in a different country.
Yes, and I'm here to tell you that the person that had one of the biggest influences on my cricketing career was Robert Jumper Jack Hines. When he came to play for Western Stars, my game improved by leaps and bounds. Just the fact of the information he was giving me, and there are times when I was betting with him that he would talk to me, and even in training sessions, like, why would you do this? Let's do it this way. Huge influence. And I mean, we're good friends up till today. He passed through Miami every now and then. We'll hook up and have breakfast or dinner and so forth and so on. But I mean, he had a huge influence on my development as a cricketer.
Yeah. And it's funny because he no matter, he would talk cricket to a snail if a snail was sitting there long enough, because that's how much he liked to talk about the game, And not only him, but many others from I would say West Indian descent. They loved to talk cricket.
Yeah, I mean, I recall my first cricket tour to Barbados. Right, I had the opportunity to speak to Colin Blades before I left.
Mm-hmm.
And Colin Blades said, Jeff, there's a guy that's going to be in the local stands. They called it underground at Castelnuovo.
Mm-hmm.
He's got one arm, he's got one hand missing. Listen to him. When he speaks, you listen to him.
Mm.
Next day, I got 112 not out.
Mm.
You know? And then, you know, I mean, we travel to all these countries to practice, like prep tours. You know, I've been to the UK on prep tours. I've been to the islands on prep tours.
Mm-hmm.
And we're using a foreign influence to prepare us for our international commitments.
Right.
Why do we think we could do it on our own when we get back to Bermuda? It baffles me.
Boy, does it ever. Does it ever. It's almost like we know where we should be, but we're afraid to do it because there's some underlying backlash somewhere. But we haven't seen the backlash yet. You haven't seen the island revolt over the fact that we've picked 5 or 6 guys from out of our country to represent us in cricket. You've never seen that.
No.
You know? So this quote unquote fear factor of inclusion is,
Yeah.
I think we need to just listen, bite the bullet, like you said, invite them, bring them out of the comfort zone, get them into our leagues. You know, they can make a difference. They will make a difference.
They will make a difference.
Their numbers alone will make a difference.
There was a time when USA and Canada couldn't touch us.
Right.
Growing up playing for Western Stars, we used to travel to the US every other year.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go as far north as Toronto and work our way down to Boston, New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
We would spend 2.5 days in each location. And I got to play against a lot of former West Indian players like Freud Brackers and all these sort of who have emigrated to the U.S. The U.S. have been inclusive.
Right.
They've been inclusive. And if you look at the U.S. or the Canadian team, you may find some young Canadians who are of West Indian or Indian descent that are playing for them, but most of them weren't born in the U.S. or or Canada.
Yeah, so true.
You know, but they also have a huge pool to choose from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't have that many cricketers in Bermuda that could make it to the national level and allow us to compete.
Right. I know that the last time we hosted, not this last tournament, previous tournament we hosted, and USA came. I can't remember his name, but he played for the West Indies, and 3 months later he was playing for USA here in Bermuda.
Yes, I'm fair skinned guy.
Yes. Scored a century down St. George's.
He was a very good cricketer for the West Indies, but a bit erratic.
Yes.
When he played for the West Indies. I know who you're talking about. I think he's helping to coach Canada now.
Yes, he is. Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. But the fact that, you know, like you said, they were inclusive. They knew they needed help.
Mm-hmm.
If they wanted their game to improve.
Ricardo Paul.
Yes.
What's his name?
Yeah. That you know, they needed the help. And I'm pretty sure, I know there was some talk because he lives in Miami. Chandapur playing for USA. He hasn't done it as of yet, but you know, hey, you know, he has played in their domestic leagues, but he hasn't represented them. I mean, if he feels like it, you know, that'll be the first name written.
First name on the team sheet.
Sure, without a doubt.
Team sheet.
Yeah, once they're eligible, they just bring because it makes them stronger. Them stronger. They're willing to. You know, say, listen, you might not be ready right now. We're going to include him, and then you have to emulate what he's doing, kind of thing.
And I mean, you know, there's who would rather have us hovering at the lower levels of our international cricket than to find a way, some way, to get better, so we can get back up, so we can improve our rankings.
Yeah, you know, definitely. Well, we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with Jeff Richardson, Somerset Cricket Club head coach. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Here's one of our favorite feature brands, true veterans of the food awareness movement. Bob's Red Mill, the U.S. leading miller of organic whole grain foods. Only whole grains have the entire value developed during growth. And once you try them, you know that this is the way food was intended to be. Try Bob's Red Mill blanched almond, whole wheat pastry, and artisan bread flours, and 1-to-1 gluten-free baking flour, unsweetened shredded coconut, gluten-free homemade wonderful bread mix, and a variety of rolled oats. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Jeff, we always want our players to get more experience. So we have right now, we have the likes of, saying Hayden Walsh played for USA and Bermuda, and then went on to, West Indies. We have Delray playing over in the UK. We also had Kamal playing over the UK. Both of them were playing in the US as well in the tournament that they're going to play in this week. But when these players come back, there's this. Now show me what the people are like. You have to be better than everyone else.
And they should be,
right, because they've been in the environment.
They've been in the environment, and
right.
when they're here and they're playing in our domestic leagues, they are head and shoulders above everyone else.
Also, and Kamal showed that.
He showed that.
He showed that. His approach to the game, his attitude at the game, everything about him was what he had been included in overseas.
Oh yeah, they have a certain swagger.
Yes.
They have this swagger, and you could see the confidence, and they do things without even thinking about it because they're in the environment, they're doing it every day in and day out. And I'm happy that they're still representing Bermuda, because sometimes financially it's not the best idea for them to come and represent the country.
Right.
But hopefully they've been able to spend enough time with the local guys now for some of that to rub off onto them.
But I bring that up because they bring back something. But we're willing to exclude that same thing that somebody else brings in.
But see, look who's bringing it back.
Yeah.
As opposed to bringing it in, right? And it's a country. It's so hypocritical. It's almost it's laughable.
It is laughable because I'm laughing at it because I'm sitting during that commercial. I was sitting there thinking. I said, you know what? We send our people away to bring back knowledge and bring back all sorts of experiences and so forth. But we're not willing for people who are already in our society to allow them to bring that same thing here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In our sport.
Yeah. We're bringing in foreign coaches.
Yeah. To
prepare us and to try and develop our game and hopefully come into our domestic program and hopefully get us back on track. Mm-hmm. But that's a foreigner. As long as he's not picked to play, it's okay. But we could use him for everything else.
I remember when David Moore replaced, Arnold was the coach after Gus Logie. But when they brought in David Moore, what's that? Yeah, he replaced Harper, right? No,
yeah.
So okay,
Yeah.
Harper was yes. Harper, it was Harper. But when Moore came, there was that again that talk like, who's this guy?
Mm-hmm.
But nobody questioned the other foreign coaches we had.
So and like I said, we've always had the foreign influence in our sport.
Mm-hmm.
How did we get it, Earl? And I'm looking for answers. Like I'm scratching my head trying to figure out how did we get to this space.
Yeah,
And it just gets to show where we are,
Yeah.
in our domestic cricket.
We're willing to, like you said at the top of the show, you know, we're accepting of one culture, but not another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you look at it, the culture we accept dominated the sport of cricket up until late 80s, 90s.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Since then, the cultures that we will not accept have dominated cricket.
Have dominated cricket. And let's talk about Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about England.
Yes.
Let's talk about India.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about Sri Lanka. And now you see Bangladesh making headway.
Yeah.
You know.
But we won't, and we have. Let me tell you, I was stunned when Nepal won that tournament in Bermuda a few years ago up at the National Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How many people from Nepal were working here?
Yes.
It had to be about 60 of them came across the field. I'm like, where are all these people? We have this, but we have them here.
We have them here. We have them here.
We just don't include them.
We have them here. I mean, there's a time. I mean, Hong Kong has a team.
Yes.
How many people from Hong Kong, born in Hong Kong, do you think plays for that team?
I think it's only one or two. One or two. One thing about me, I always look to see the country of birth. Exactly. I always look at that. Yeah.
Exactly. So
yeah.
Hopefully things will start to improve. You know, I mean, I think the pandemic allowed a lot of people a lot of time for reflection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it be sport, whether it be job or just life in life period.
Mm-hmm.
People have lost family members.
Yeah.
And life is short. And we're nitpicking about a lot of the small things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that can help this country move forward in our sport. And we really need to tackle this as soon as and as quickly as possible.
Sure. And well, the one thing I know is we have what we consider community clubs. So we just need to know who's in our communities and go and get them to include them into our clubs.
Right. I agree.
That's one way of doing it. I mean, okay, I know a lot of people within the clubs are doing a lot of voluntary work, but everybody knows their neighbor, who then knows the next neighbor, who then knows the next neighbor.
That's right.
You know? What do you like to do? And the other thing is, okay, so we know when the Football World Cup was on, right? How many people saw their neighbors sitting there loving football but don't go to football?
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing is the Cricket World Cup. You see guys there and they're into cricket. Hey, listen, why don't you come out and play?
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't worry about if you can't get off. You'll start loving it enough time to figure out how to get off.
You find a way to get off.
Yeah.
You definitely find a way to get off.
It's all about the inclusion. If you're included and guys make you feel welcome, you'll figure out a way to get off.
And you've hit the nail on the head. I think a lot of the reasons why these guys don't come out is because they don't feel welcome.
Right.
And there's going to be no effort to find time to play domestic cricket.
If I'm not
why should I play domestic cricket if someone's going to be throwing out all these remarks to me every time I go to play a match?
Right. Or even if my teammates don't even, appreciate me.
Right.
Exactly.
And I tell the story because we have a Summers group chat, and of course Matt's something. It's in the group chat,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt frequents Charing Cross.
Oh,
He frequents Woodies. You know, he is part. He likes to get involved in our culture.
right.
You know, but he's a tough character. Seriously, he's a tough character.
Right.
That sort of stuff doesn't move him much.
Right.
If anything at all, it appears to drive him and motivate him. You know, and you could sledge him, he'll come right back at you. You know, and so his temperament and he's a good enough player to talk.
Right.
If you know what I mean. So, you know, he can back up the talk. So I mean, it's been some fun watching him interact with the opposing team and stuff. But yeah, we just need to find a way to get him involved.
Yeah. So let me ask you, when they would have first come to Somerset, what were your I guess first rules for them as far as ambitions for batting, bowling, and the like for you?
Right, at Somerset, because we were short, our batting lineup wasn't that long, and first team said, "Where do you normally bat?" "Oh, I open. Oh, I bat 3. Oh, I bat 4. Okay, so it's your first match. Where would you like to bat? "Oh, I like to open." Okay.
Confidence.
JD's first game, he scored 100 against Baylor's Bay in Somerset.
Yeah.
Opened the innings and bet it right to the end. You know, so I'm like, okay. And that was during the 50 over cricket. He struggled a bit with T20 because obviously it's a different type of game. But Matt, he bats well, bats early order, builds good off spin, and is a good cricket, good all rounder.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so
I was impressed with him when I first saw him in the field. The first day I saw them play, you guys were fielding out, and I was impressed with the way, especially those two, approached the way they were in the field. Always, included, in the talk, and always, trying to keep the guys up. Just the whole attitude was a lot different than a lot of our other players.
Correct. Oh, absolutely. And the impression and the influence they have on the guys around them, because I have a relatively young team, right? And to have these guys involved now, and I mean, they chat with these guys, and I like the idea of my young batsmen batting with Matt and batting with JD. You know, let me tell you something. You learn there are certain situations in cricket, in a cricket match, that you need some kind of experienced head around to show you through it. If you've never been shown how to get through it, you're never going to know how to get through it.
Right.
You know, because when you're batting, it doesn't always go your way.
No.
Sometimes take someone on the other end and says, "Look, I see you're struggling with this bowler. Let me face him, and then you can take the other guy." You know, if you get down to the end, let's try to pick up a single and let me take him. We need there's type of situations, certain scenarios in a match,
right,
where these guys are able to assist our younger cricketers, and that's what we're missing in cricket right now. We're missing experienced cricketers, because if you think about it, a lot of our experience left the game at the same time.
Yeah,
a lot of our experienced cricketers left the game at the same time.
Yeah.
So we have a drain on experience in our domestic program, in our domestic cricket.
And that's been true in so many of our corners, that teams were young together, grew old together, and all left together, leaving a depleted team to start where they started years ago. And
that's
some
the Stars'
clubs,
prime example.
And some clubs are struggling to even get back halfway to where they were.
Yeah, that was the scenario at Western Stars, because all of us grew up together.
Right.
We were all within 3 or 4 years in age, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Right.
And then, you know, all of a sudden you had this team that dominated for a decade, and then before you know it, everyone's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah. We gotta figure out how to filter in the youngsters as we're going along. But the thing is, you know what it is? If you look at it, when you guys were dominated, you were dominating so much that the youngsters were almost afraid to come out.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Because they knew, or they realized I can't make that team.
And that's the downside.
Mm.
That's the downside. But back then, you knew you had to wait your turn.
Right.
Or you worked that much harder at your game, because I developed this thing that if I train the same as everyone else, I'm going to be as good as everyone else.
Mm.
So if you do the extras,
I'm gonna be a little better.
you're gonna be a little better.
Yeah.
And the more of those little extras you do tends to get you over the top.
Yeah, definitely.
And sadly, we're not playing that much cricket at the school level.
Yeah.
And that's the feeder programs for most of the clubs around the island.
Right.
You know, the neighborhood cricket team. So if you played for me, I went to West Pembroke and Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
West Stars was the only choice.
Right.
Walking distance from my house.
Yeah.
You know, and I grew up being taught by, like, my PE teachers played in our domestic program, our domestic leagues.
Yes.
Like I had a Mr. Newbury at West Pembroke and I had Jerry Swan at Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
And you used to read about these guys in the paper scoring hundreds or picking up wickets and stuff. And you admired these guys were your role models.
Yeah.
You wanted to be like them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and you absorbed everything they told you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was getting decent instruction at the primary level.
Right.
So by the time I got into club cricket, I already knew the basics. Or I find a lot of times where I'm coaching basics at the club level. And that's where we are in cricket.
There's a struggle. Yeah. Well, let's take our final commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with Jeff Richardson, the Summers Cricket Club head coach. We'll be right back.
It seems everyone knows someone who's lactose intolerant or just avoiding dairy products. And fortunately, there's a growing array of delicious and nutritious alternatives. Pacific Natural Foods have been doing things their own way simply and sustainably for over a quarter century, making non-dairy beverages with the finest possible ingredients right down to the packaging. Try Pacific Natural Original and Vanilla Hemp Milk and Almond Original Plant-Based Beverage, all sweetened or unsweetened, and low-sodium organic vegetable or chicken broth. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for.
Putting down the weapons.
You seen this?
Welcome back. Jeff, when you would have been playing, we would have been playing 60 over cricket.
Yes.
Got filtered down to 50.
Mm-hmm.
We're now into 20. The Olympics are going into 10s. And we're seeing a few 10s tournaments around, especially over in the Asian countries, Bangladesh and those places, Sri Lanka and so forth. Has that hurt going to these shorter formats? Has that hurt us in our development stages? I know you were talking about, just before we went to the break, you played a lot of cricket and getting guidance in primary school. It filtered into high school. So when you got to club level, it was already ingrained in you. Mm-hmm. And we played the longer version then. But not playing the longer versions, that hurt us?
Absolutely. I had a conversation with someone back maybe a week ago, and I basically said that the pandemic came, we didn't play any cricket, and then prior to the pandemic, we were playing 50 over cricket. Pandemic came. We lost a year or two of domestic league cricket, and once we resumed playing normal cricket, it was T20. It was all T20. So my training sessions were geared around T20 cricket.
Yeah.
Get as many runs as quickly as you can. Try to get as many runs during the power play and so forth and so on. Then all of a sudden, we're back to some normalcy and we're trying to play 50 over cricket. Not only are they not haven't developed the patience to bat 50 overs, we now have youngsters who don't want to play 50 over cricket now because T20 takes 2-3 hours and they could continue with their day.
Right.
Now it's 50 overs is too long. So now it's a mindset. It's a shift in the mindset now that we have to tackle. Because we have to play 50 over cricket. I'm sorry, you're not going to develop a cricketer playing T20 cricket.
No, not at all.
It's had a negative impact on our cricket, and another one of the issues is facilities as well.
Yeah.
You go walk around at some of the club's facilities, we don't have these enough resources and facilities in place so we can have decent sessions where we could develop these individuals.
Yeah. It's almost like what we called when we first saw the ODIs come out. It's carnival cricket.
Yes.
It's hit everything you see.
And there are some cricket, the true cricket lovers, who will know parts of T20 cricket.
They would love a test match because
will not watch it.
They actually watch a man build an innings.
The purists would love to watch a test match, which is that tests your physical and your mental strength. Your patience, and you have to build an innings. There are certain times where the wicket may not be as good as it should be. Then you got to battle through that. And T20, I mean, if you go out there and make 2 or 3, it's like whatever, because it's sort of a crapshoot.
Right.
1 or 2 guys may make off, but most of the team are not going to make much runs because everyone's trying to hit the ball over the ropes. And that's the sad part.
And what was the first thing your primary school teacher would have said to you? Get off the mark, look for a single.
And hit the ball in the V.
Yep.
Keep it on the ground.
Keep it on the ground.
Keep it on the ground, yes.
The longer you stay at the wicket, the more runs you're going to get.
Exactly. You cannot make any runs in the shed.
No.
Yeah.
But getting back to the xenophobic remarks, and we want to make sure that your strongest message is out there, because I think, again, we have to be inclusive. We have to have clubs looking out for not only their players but the opposing players, and we have to look to protect everyone at our grounds. The players are there to entertain. The spectators are there to support. The club is there to make sure that the facility is up to par to ensure that the match is played. So everybody has a role to play. We just need to play the roles that we're there to play. And
Earl, I mean, I saw it with my own 2 eyes. These guys are playing for Somerset. They had family and friends there. And then, they were having a good time. They were enjoying themselves. And then the comments started. First, it was a quiet little remark here and there. And then they started blurting it out all over the place. And you put your head down, you look up, they were gone. They were literally chased them away. And that's where that's when it really hit me. Like, we need to do something about this. We really need to do something about it, because they were spending money at the bar, and they were obviously their food vendors in the area that they were buying food from. Everybody wins.
Yeah,
everybody wins.
But not when somebody else is spoiling everybody else's fun.
Correct.
Because the game is there for entertainment.
And the game is for everyone, Earl.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the EPL or you look at football on TV, it's knock down racism.
Yeah.
You say no to racism, and everything. Every football is for everyone.
Yes.
Cricket is for everyone. Sport is for everyone.
Sport is for everyone. Yeah.
Sport is for everyone. And who are we to deprive someone playing sport in our country?
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping it is addressed immediately. Before the season starts. Again, we talked about it. the board come out and stamp it out, and the board make a statement that they're encouraging others to join the league. Find a club in your parish.
Yes.
Those are the type of things that we need to be looking to do, to make sure that they feel like, okay, let me try it. Let me see what it's like. And then if two guys show up to your training session, you got them there, you introduce them to the players, and these guys they want to be a part of our quote unquote our family.
Oh, I'm looking to recruit 2 or 3 more than what I already have.
Oh, okay.
Trust and believe. I will continue inviting and accepting these guys into my program in Somerset, because it's only going to help the program.
Definitely.
It's only going to help them. It's going to make my players better players.
Yeah, I think the way that Matt and JD have been welcomed into the club already, a lot of players will feel comfortable in doing that.
And that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I want to commend you, congratulate you on speaking up, because it takes us involved to speak up. A lot of people talk when they're out of the game, but don't want to talk in the public domain about a problem that we have going on currently in the game.
Right. And as I said, when I first heard it, I mean, it happened towards the end of the cricket season and stuff, and then winter time comes around, and it was bothering me. I wasn't sure how I was going to get it out there, and then when Daxter called me concerning my so-called return as coach, I said, okay, here's the platform. Here's the platform.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that when I spoke to you and you hadn't read the paper, I said, okay, well, maybe it didn't get to everyone.
Right.
And that's why I'm glad you invited me on here, because I want to make sure I keep singing or putting that message out there that we need to start being a bit more inclusive.
Yeah, and hopefully you're not the only one with that message. Hopefully others join on and include and encourage, because I know people work with people who love to play and know that they play, and just encourage them to get involved in a club. Even if they call a club and say, hey, listen, I got this guy that works with me. He loves the game, but he's not, can you come and talk to him and see if you can get him to come to your club? All those small things, every little bit helps.
Yeah, I can't do it by myself.
No.
I cannot do it by myself. And I'm hoping other people will jump on board. And the more people that jump on board, the sooner we can get the message out, the sooner we can get this stuff resolved.
Sure. Well, when do you start training, or have you started training?
Well, we had sort of a session on the weekend. It was sort of a work rally to get our facilities back in shape.
Oh, right.
They went quite well. I mean, I had more numbers than I had at some cricket matches. Believe it or not.
So that's an encouraging sign.
It is. It looks very promising. So hopefully usually we start around about the first week in March, but then we know March could be a bit volatile when it comes to the weather. So we'll see how it goes. But we'll be looking to get started in early March.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to wish you all the best in this upcoming season. I know when does the transfer stuff end?
I'm not even sure when that ends. I know there wasn't there one recently, early, like towards the end of last year, or early.
Or was that the opening of it? I know they usually close it like a week or two before the season starts, and I keep saying that's too late, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when they're going to look to start the league.
Right.
Because as I tell my son all the time, I used to wear sweaters when I played cricket, because we were starting in April.
Yeah, that's right.
We started cricket in April, and I recall playing in a FA Cup final or an FA Cup game on one Sunday, and then into cricket the next.
Very next, that's right.
Yeah, the very next Sunday.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I know you guys don't have this problem yet, and there's so many curators that want to get involved up Somerset, but it's got to be a growing concern around the sport that we're struggling for curators for these fields.
Yes.
And preparing wickets and preparing proper wickets, because we have people that are they're getting burnt out because they're aging out of it, and we don't see a group of young people coming in. So it's got to be a concern for as a coach, you want the game to continue, but we could see where we're going to struggle down the road.
I am very fortunate in Somerset to have Reed James.
Mm-hmm.
He's still relatively young.
Yes.
In the grand scheme of things, and so I'm fortunate. But I know other clubs are struggling because there are guys who used to do wickets, like Paddy Gilbert used to do the wicket at St. John's.
Mm-hmm.
He's no longer doing it. I know he helps out every now and then,
right?
But there's nothing consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that some of the wickets you play on around these leagues it's they're not too good at all.
Because they've got part-time people doing it.
Yeah. I mean, even last season, someone made a comment about Somerset's wicket. I mean, we were scoring 200 to 300 runs every weekend.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to worry about the wicket when you came to Somerset. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of issues in our sport that need to be addressed.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you again, Jeff, for coming on, and hopefully your message continues to go around the island, and hopefully it reaches some of the expats who listen. Come out. If you love the sport, you're welcome in the sport. You're welcome in these clubs. You can make a difference. Mm-hmm. Just know that you can make a difference.
Yeah, and I will encourage JD and Matt to put the message out there as well. Encourage their friends to come out and play as well.
Sure.
All
right. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, brother.
I will.
Good luck this season. Good luck this season, except for those 2 days. See.
All right, mate.